What's up guys, Riften Gaming coming at you with another Diablo 3 Witch Doctor build. Now I got a fun, neat little build for you guys here today. It's the Pet and Horrify combo. Now normally you see people using a Star Metal Cookie with this, running the sacrifice. However, I don't have a Star Metal, I know a lot of other people don't. So you gotta work with what you have and improvise when it comes to this. Now this build is T6 farmable. You can do T6 all day with this. You can even do greater rifts on your own. I did a level 30 grade rift early, there's nothing too spectacular, but for a pet build, that's kind of starting to push the limits there, and I got it done within the time frame and I didn't get too much trouble. But once you start getting to like 35 and up, and then the pets just start dying if you don't have a star medal, and everything just starts going to crap. Now this build has a really good balance between damage and crowd control ability for support. Very good if you're doing random rifts, T6 rifts, or with your buddies if you're doing a group rifts. Even in greater rifts if you're doing it for groups, again it has that balance between good damage output and crowd control support. You can do 30 up to 35 with people, mainly because you're there for the Horrify. So it's pretty much just a small mashup between the Horrify and Paranoia Mass Confusion 0 DPS build without the 0 DPS part and the decent amount of damage from any regular pet builds. Now let's get started here with your abilities. You want to have the Plague of Toads with the Reign of Toads. This is going to give you the biggest proc coefficient for Fetish Psychopath, since we're going to be using that passive. You want to be using Horrify with the Face of Death Room. Is going to increase the radius to 24 yards. You want to have Spirit Walk with Jaunt for that damage invulnerability for a few seconds, and giving you the chance to break CCs like Jailers and Frozen. You want to have Summon Zombie Dogs, and the room is up to you. I'm using Leeching Beast just so I can get some extra healing done. If you want some extra AoE capability, use the Burning Dogs, or if you want to mitigate some more damage, then go ahead and use the Lifelink. You want to be using Fetish Army, of course, with the Legion of Daggers rune. You're going to get 3 extra fetishes, so you have a total of 8. So 15 from your Fetish Psychopaths, 8 from your Fetish Army, you get 23 total fetishes. And last but not least, you want to have Big Bad Voodoo, of course, with the Slam Dance to increase all damage to nearby allies by 30%. Now for your passes, Fetish Psychopaths, of course, again. Pierce the Veil to increase your damage by 20%. Also will mana cost by 30%, but since we're not using any mana consuming abilities, that extra mana cost is not a concern. And Graven Justice, that 1% of your life and mana back is alright. Again, no mana, but that extra healing is alright. But mainly for that reduced cooldown, so anytime you kill an enemy within 20 yards, you're going to get 1 second reduction on all of your cooldowns. So with this, your Big Bad Voodoo should be coming up pretty often, as well as your Fetish Army and your Horrify. For your 4th passive, it's pretty much up to you. I'm using Gruesome Feast for that great damage increase from the health globes. However, if you don't feel like using that for whatever reason, you can use Tribal Rites as a good alternative if for the 25% cooldown reduction on Fetish Army and Big Bad Voodoo mainly. You could even use Spirit Vessel if you feel you don't have enough cooldown reduction to keep casting your Horrify. Then go ahead and use this, and it's going to reduce the cooldown on your Horrify and Spirit Walk by 2 seconds. And as well as the little cheat death with this. So if you take fatal damage, you go into a Spirit Walk for a few seconds. And if you want, you can even use Fierce Loyalty to increase your movement speed by 30%. If you're doing, let's say, a greater rift and you feel you need to move around a little quicker. Excuse me. Or even Midnight Feast to increase the damage by your Summon Zombie Dog by 50%. So again, the choice is pretty much up to you there. Now for the gear, you want to have a Ring of Royal Grandeur. This is one of those pet builds that's going to benefit from this. Since we do not have a Star Metal Cockery, we need to keep the Fetish Army up. permanently, preferably. So we're going to be using the Zuni's forcep, so your fetish armor lasts until they die. And I'm using the boots, offhand, and chest piece. For your chest piece, you want to roll int vit fetish armor damage, boots, int vit resist all and armor. For your offhand, int vit crit chance and fetish armor damage. Now I'm also using the 3-piece for the Blackthorns, mainly because I use a 0 DPS build if I'm doing higher level greater risk in groups. So I have this lying around, and I have a pretty decent necklace that rolled. You know, this was not bad. So I'm using the 3-piece on that for the 2, 3, and 4 set bonus, mainly for the 4 set bonus to have immunity to desecrate or molten and plague monster ground effects. And this set adds quite a bit of toughness to you. For your belt, you want to go with int vit life and armor if you're going to use this, the Blackthorns. For your pants, int vit and armor. And if you're using the ammo like I am, then int crit hit damage and crit hit chance. Now if you don't feel like using the Blackthorns, you can use a witching hour. That's going to give you the biggest damage increase as far as belts go. And for your pants, you could use probably a hexing pants if you feel like moving around a lot. You know, not the best. I would say go with like swampland waders or something. Now you also want to have the, let's get out of that. You want to have the Ticklandian facade. This is going to increase the duration of your Horrify for 8 seconds, up to 8 seconds, 6 to 8. And enemy that comes close to you is going to be free and rooted as well. So this is very helpful. This is what's going to have everything on lockdown. As far as stats go, you want to have int vit, and for the third one, I'm using armor since this is the only one I have with the 8 seconds, and it happened to roll armor. However, if you can get crit hit chance on there or something, then you'll be good. And you want to have the diamond to reduce the cooldown by 12.5%. I'm also using the 2 pieces of Oghilds, the shoulders and bracers. For my shoulders, I'm going with int vit cooldown reduction and fetish armor damage, and for the bracers I'm using physical skill damage increase, int vit, and crit hit chance. And the set bonus on this is pretty good. It's going to reduce damage from range and melee attacks by 7%. It's going to reduce damage from elites by 15% and increase damage against elites by 15%, so it's not bad. Now for your gloves, you want to have a Tasker and Theo here. Preferably one that doesn't roll as mediocre as this one. If you can get int crit hit damage and crit hit chance with attack speed, then you're golden. You know, that's like the holy grail when it comes to these gloves. However, as long as you have these, they're going to be beneficial. It increases the attack speed on your pets by 40 to 50%. I rolled 49, so this is alright. For your weapon, I'm using the Renho Flare because it has high DPS, and the Sassy is pretty much rolled great. However, any other weapon with high DPS is going to do just fine. If you have a Thunder Fury, a Sunkeeper, and anything that has high DPS and attack speed on it, you should be fine. Now, if you're using the Renho, you could even go with the Adeline Toads rune on your Plego Toads, just so you can have some extra crowd control ability. But just keep in mind, if you do use that, your fetish cycle beds are not going to proc as fast or as much, so that's something you have to take into consideration there. Now for my second ring, I'm using the Tall Man's Finger, just so I can have my big dog do a lot more damage. And especially if you're using the life link, he's going to be able to take more damage without dying as quickly. However, I recommend using something like a Stone of Jordan with physical on it. So it's pretty much up to you. And one thing I'm going to try to do is, once I get if I can find a Zuni Masa's ring, but that rolls good, I'm going to swap the Tall Man's Finger for that and have the Homunculus for my offhand. So I keep the 4-set bonus on the Zunis, but I can get rid of the summon zombie dogs. So that way I can free up that slot and have something like Mass Confusion with Paranoia, just so enemies take 20% additional damage. Or you could even use piranhas with a Piranado or frozen piranhas for some extra crowd control. Now as far as cooldown reduction goes, how much do you need? I thought personally I'm at 18.7%, you know, just stock, and once the legendary gems start proccing, then that starts going down up quite a bit. But as far as legendary gems go, you want to have Gogaku Swiftness, so you can gain swiftness, increasing your attack speed by 1% for 4 seconds, stacking up to 15 times. So it's going to increase your attack speed drastically, so you can start pumping out fetish cycle pants with your Plague of Toads if you're using the Rain of Toads, and increasing your damage as well as your fetish damage. And at level 25, you're going to gain 1% cooldown reduction per stack of swiftness, so up to 15%. So you get a 15% extra cooldown reduction, giving you more cooldown, so you can start hitting your Horrify. You also want to have Bane of the Trapped. Enemies under control and parrying effects are going to take 24.3% damage at level 31 like mine, and at level 25 you're going to gain an aura that reduces the movement speed of enemies within 15 yards by 30%, so that's not bad. And lastly, you want to have the Pain Enhancer. Critical hits cause the enemy to bleed for 1950 at level 25 like mine, for weapon damage as physical over 3 seconds. And at level 25 you're going to gain Blood Frenzy, granting you 3% increased attack speed for each enemy within 20 yards. So with the Pain Enhancer and the Gokaku Swiftness, if you have a really large pack of mobs or a really dense rift or greater rift, and you just start hitting everything with your Rain of Toads, your attack speed is going to shoot up. And I've gotten up to like 60% attack speed increase. You know, the damage is just insane. The pets are going crazy. And going back to the cooldown reduction, once the Gokok starts proccing, and with the diamond in the shoulders, your cooldown reduction should be pretty much set, so you can start spamming Horrify and have everything on lockdown. So let's move on to Paragon Points. I suggest capping out movement speed first. Whatever you have left to hit 25%, go ahead and do that. And then choice is yours if you want to go into Vitality or Intelligence. For offense, you have a few choices here. You can either go capping out attack speed first, or cooldown reduction if you feel you don't have enough cooldown reduction. Again, if you have cooldown reduction capped with the diamond in the headpiece, the shoulders, and the legendary gem, your cooldowns should be pretty much set for your Horrify. So again, the choices here: either attack speed or cooldown reduction first, whatever you feel you need, and then critical hit damage. For defense, I suggest capping out armor first, since you want to have a lot more damage mitigation, and then everything into life, and then life regeneration. I wouldn't go into resist all, since the Witch Doctor is a intelligence based class. Any intelligence you get from your armor and gems is going to give you a bonus to resist all anyways. And for utility, I suggest going into area damage and then life on hit. Resource cost reduction you don't have to worry about, since we're not using any mana consuming abilities. And then gold finds, you know, that's pretty much be useless if you have enough gold. But you know, whatever. If you want to put points into that, then I just suggest area damage and then life on hit, and then into wherever you want. Alright, so let's get into some of the gameplay here. I'm going to do a bit of a riff for you guys so you can see what this does. So summon your pets, of course, and then go in and just start hitting your Horrify and spamming your Rain of Toads so you can start proccing your Psychopaths. Alright, here's an elite. So you go in with the Horrify, have everything on lockdown. With the Grave Injustice, once you start killing stuff, it's going to start resetting the cooldown on your stuff. Giving you an... oh! giving you a chance to hit your Horrify again. And of course go around and start picking up health globes if you're using the Gruesome Feast passive. I'm gonna pop Big Bad Voodoo here just because I hate those Anarchs. Go in here and try to hit him with... Use a Spirit Walk to get in there. Oh, there's a legendary. What'd I get? What'd you know? Oh, garbage. Now one thing I suggest with this build is try to stay close as possible to enemies so that Grave Injustice starts kicking in. As well as the Pain Enhanced Regen, since you have to be within 20 yards I think is for the Blood Frenzy to start kicking in. They have a really bad roost here. Nothing but these stupid exiles. I hate these guys with passion. But lucky with the Horrify, they're not that much of a nuisance. Nope. I got these guys on lockdown over here. Now one small con to this build is, if you have a map like this, I don't know if you noticed earlier, if there's a bunch of enemies stuck in the doorway, your pets pretty much just have to line up to start attacking them, so it's gonna take a lot longer to start killing stuff. They have to go one by one. And that's not necessarily a good thing to happen in greater risk since time is a concern. And in general, pets tend to have a mind of their own. You know, there could be an elite over here, and they'll be all the way in the other corner just attacking some trash mobs. Now you could even use the Gargantuan if you don't want to use Spirit Walk for whatever reason, if you feel you're surviving without it. Since it did manage to fix the Gargantuan if you're using the Wrathful Protector rune. He's not as derpy as he used to be. He used to just sit there in the corner once you spawn him and not attack at all. It was just a wasted cooldown. I'll pop Big Bad Voodoo here. Look at the melt. It's 2 million damage. 2.5 million damage there. This is sick. Plenty of damage and plenty of crowd control ability. It's a good balance between the two. It's a pretty fun build. This guy's on lockdown over here, can't do anything. Very helpful, especially since he was arcane. Those arcane beams are just going to start blowing up your fetishes, especially in greater risk. Now there's the exit. Now I'm not going to sit here and do the whole rift. This video is probably as long as it is. I'm going to go back to town here real quick. So that's pretty much the build, guys. Let me know what you think. Any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to leave a comment or message me. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.